Before Structure House, my mom used to say it feels like you have a monkey on your back, and that's why I felt. It was just out of control, and really, having tried probably a dozen different diets and yo-yoing, feeling desperate, and hoping that this was a solution, but not really confident that it was. I wanted something more comprehensive. I'd tried the raw vegan diets. I'd tried things that were strictly focused on one aspect of what I think of as a really thorny kind of all-encompassing issue. And this truly touched on every single facet of this kind of dilemma that a lot of us face. I think that it was doable at home. So many of these things were so incredibly rigid that it was reinforcing some of the black and white thinking that I was already engaging in. And I've been here since, for 12 years, coming back and forth. And I've been able to do a lot of the program on the road, after the death of parents, every situation that's gotten thrown at me. So I think it's a testament that it's very doable for someone who's failed so many times prior to starting this. To be honest, I thought it was just another weight loss kind of program. My mother had come here quite a long time ago and recommended it, but I wasn't expecting something that involved, philosophy and such, truly every facet in terms of looking at big life decisions and what I wanted, like a 40,000 foot view, I think they call it, or it's basically like a macro view of my life and just becoming a better person, becoming more compassionate with myself, which is a struggle for a lot of us who've succeeded by being overly rigorous. That's been a tricky one, but a really helpful one. I hit my 5-year goal of maintaining my give or take 50-pound weight loss for 5 years, and I gave myself 5 pounds in either direction because there's some fluctuation I think is going to happen. So I'm really happy. Health-wise, every single measure on my blood counts is better. My fasting, what is it called, hemoglobin A1C went from a 5.9 to a 5.1. It's a pretty dramatic difference. My liver enzymes are normal. I could go on, but I have a lot of evidence. What I realize is that this is such an energy-consuming issue that unless I filled that space and time with other activities, hobbies, endeavors, that I would just be back here complaining and with more of the same. I'm at a high level in Spanish, which I acquired when I moved abroad. I'm continuing that. I was volunteering. I want to continue to volunteer. I have more travel plans. I'd like to pick up a third language. So just things that I'm more freed up to pursue other things in the world. And there's a lot to do and a lot I want to do. There was a psychologist who worked here for a long time who used to call this, I guess I'll specifically say this country, obesocentric, and I completely agree with that. Everywhere I go, I'm bombarded, as most of us are. So the struggle, I think, is almost daily, but if I go out prepared, kind of some meal planning in advance, knowing that every airport has a Starbucks, with oatmeal that's structured, and knowing that, almost every, even small town, is going to have some kind of healthy option. And knowing there's a journal, there's a phone to pick up, and that, I think the message is that food is clearly not worked for a lot of us, because when we got here, most of us were depressed and anxious and stressed, or whatever the word is. So clearly, and we tried a lot of food to fix it, and it didn't work. I serendipitously found Success Week when I came 5 years ago, and I'd regained quite a bit of weight, almost all of it, and it just came out of nowhere. I met all these people who I thought were made up or make-believe, who were losing, maintaining the loss for years and years and years. And there was just something magic in the air, I swear, and I started listening a lot more closely to the losers, to the people who had maintained the loss for a significant amount of time, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. And I think it took some humility on my part to just say, okay, now I'm really going to try to trust this program. And that was 5 years ago, and I really haven't looked back. I plan to be here every year for Success Week, for sure. And if I have a setback, this is my go-to place as well. I can't think of anyone I know who struggles with this who shouldn't come here, honestly. I think I've seen every age group from, 16 to probably over 90. Truly, I think it's all-encompassing enough that everyone would feel welcome and would get something out of it. I think other goals, I'm trying to do more fitness goals because I find that, the last goal I set was a 5-year goal. I need a daily goal, a weekly goal. I need, joining a gym is not really that helpful in my experience, unless I'm joining a group and there's accountability. So I'm doing more things in terms of accountability and being connected and staying connected. And seeing this group here every year, they know what I weigh now, they know where I want to be in a year, and they will hold me accountable. So I think those are some of my goals. I also feel like the staff here is giving up. I've known some of these people for 12 years, and there's a big sacrifice, and I don't want to let them down. I think it's in the back of my mind that I want them to feel like they're getting through to some of the people here, and there isn't just such a high failure rate that's obviously not specific to Structure House, it's industry-wide, but it gives a little more purpose or meaning to the battle. I would say think along a really long spectrum, because it's really easy to get caught up in minor setbacks. I hear so many people ask about holidays. If someone were to eat everything in sight on every holiday, that might be 4 pounds a year. That's really not what's sending people back here, causing the problem in the grand scheme of things. So I would encourage people to think about a longer spectrum, and just to just engage help. This is nothing I did alone. This is a whole team effort, and I think most people would admit the same. I would definitely say 2013, and it was after doing my first Success Week here, and it was time for the tires to hit the pavement. And I was actually using the app and the journal and doing all the tools. And all the temptations existed to engage all the old behaviors. And I religiously used the app and the journal and motivated myself and took care of myself in different ways. I got a massage every 10 days. I found a pool that I liked. That to me was a turning point, because I realized how I felt empowered, like with an app and a tool and a journal and just a few different items and a whole bunch of knowledge I acquired here. I could actually do this during a really difficult period during a move and a work stress and some other kind of life events that typically would have derailed me. So that to me was a turning point. I would say 5 years ago, when I think about where I was versus today, feeling defeated, that was the theme of what I felt, I failed yet again. I knew what this program was, I was trying it, I'd failed, I'd regained all the weight, and reluctantly returned here and had to eat some humble pie, if you will. And I think about now, there's a lot more self-compassion that I have, that there are going to be some slips and some bumps. And it's just knowing that this place is always here. There are all these cheerleaders on my side. They will understand if I have these setbacks, and they always have their arms open and to welcome me here. So knowing that gives me a lot of peace of mind, and I feel more calm and relaxed in general, and it doesn't feel like a lot of inner kind of turmoil. There's There's an inner conversation that takes place when when there's a setback or a slip, but it doesn't feel like that energy draining, consuming kind of cycle that I was caught in. It took the weight off and I floundered for a couple of years. And I enjoyed all those new benefits of being heavy for so long. And there's all the feedback. There's all the, oh my gosh, you look amazing. And buying new clothes and doing things I never did and going out and wanting to go out. And all that eventually ends. People stop commenting because you look the same. I mean, you're still the same weight. And I didn't reset a goal. I didn't set another goal. That was my probably biggest mistake I made. And now I'm very aware that even if it's on a subconscious level, I need to have these small goals. If it's a reunion coming up, I make things up all the time. I mean, if it's a photo for the passport, there's a reason to stay structured for the next 2 months. I mean, whatever it is. So those to me are helpful. But yeah, and I think it was that big setback in 5 years ago. It was a perfect storm. And I thought, all right, maybe Structure House can help. And then, found Success Week, and the rest is history.